Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Matt and John Make podcast. This is episode 91. We got John to the top. Obviously, if you can read the label there, and I'm Matt, and we got another uh, uh, jam packed episode, if you will. Of course, we're going to talk about hockey playoffs and Loki, episode 3. But we got some. We're gonna start off with some football news. And we're gonna touch really quickly on the Major League Baseball banned substance pitching substance rule that came in effect this past Monday, and all that. But again, some football news, local football news, and our Pittsburgh Steelers have released our guard David DeCastro in a already I don't want to say banged up, but what people have considered an older line, uh, just released today, and not too long after signed. Who we signed, John?
Trey Turner,
Trey Turner.
former All Pro guard from the Carolina Panthers, and I believe last year he was on the LA Rams, which to me is a like low risk, high reward sort of thing. He's been pretty banged up as far as injuries have been concerned. But if this guy's healthy and if we get the Carolina version of Trey Turner, this is going to look like a
Yeah.
massive steal here. And I kind of was surprised, but I kind of wasn't surprised either because if you recall our podcast from right after the season ended, I said on here I would not be surprised if either Dave gets cut or if Felix retires, which I think there's a strong possibility that he's considering retirement. In just the sense from some of the like national reporters, he is strongly considering that. He's been really banged up. Quite frankly, I don't think he's been the same guy in the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's just in like you could tell in people such as like Dejan Kovacevic have been like speculating like he's not the same guy. He looks beat up. He looks tired. He just looks completely worn out. And I think it really showed not only on the field, Matt, but um, but him going through basically the everyday grind of the NFL season. And now the big question is going to be now, like is this line better or like worse? And immediately I said absolutely worse, but I'm not really sure how much of a difference we're going to see between Trey Turner and Dave there. It really depends on how healthy that Trey Turner is. Um, Now I feel like that this also opens the door as well for other signings because I believe that the Steelers saved about almost like
Eight.
$9 million here.
Yeah, it was over a little over 8, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So they saved that. You've been hearing speculation of about them getting a third safety, about them getting a third outside out outside outside linebacker, which they desperately need on like both guys because pretty much outside of Highsmith and TJ on the outside, there really isn't anyone there. So they really need to at least like sign a like Melvin Ingram or a Justin Houston just to be able to spell TJ and Alex Highsmith, or for like depth stuff. So I do think that we're going to be seeing that move in here pretty soon because it really does feel like that this is that some things are beginning to like progress here. But But like Matt, when you heard this news, were you surprised or
No,
were
no, I
were you
honestly wasn't.
kind of feel?
I, when I saw it, I was like, I felt like I expected this to happen eventually, because there was rumors with the Trey Turner visit. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess they just wanted after uh last season and all that fun stuff that there was
Hmm.
going to be a massive uh no pun intended changing of the guard,
Yeah.
well, pun intended, just to change and just we really don't know until it happens because we have an all new offensive scheme with a new offensive coordinator. um it's to me, I'm it's gonna be wait until preseason and when there's actual opponents on the other side, uh, and, and until you make a judgment. If they can do 50% better than what happened last year, I think it's a win. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
and someone brought up to Matt, they were like, if you had to cut Dave and you were able to sign a Trey Turner, a like Malik Hooker and a like Ingram or a Justin Houston, would you take that? And and at least like for me, I absolutely would, because to me, those things are going to really help out the current team. And no offense for Dave, and he was a great guard, one of the best all are round guards that this team has ever had. But as I said, he's older. He's not the same guy. He's been really banged up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this offensive line is going to be, because currently, as we look at our offensive line right now, Matt. So you figure at tackle, Chooks is probably going to be like left tackle, left guard. You would think is Kevin Dodson. Center, maybe some competition there between like Vinny and our third round pick Kendrick Green there. Right guard, obviously I'm Trey Turner, and like most likely at like right tackle. Um, recently re-signed this past offseason is Zach Banner. So I'm interested to see once camp is eventually here how all that is going to play out there, and where things will lie there. Because if we even have a average offensive line, I think this team will be okay.
yeah,
But if they're like what they were last year, it's going to be really hard to win. But at the same time, too, I think a lot of the issues that were from last year's team wasn't just with the offense line, but our play calling. We were just so predictable, and just like listening to a like few like podcasters who know the X's and the O's more than me. They said it's going to be a little bit more unpredictable, and just by based on all of the things you're hearing out of like mini camp, it's not going to be as like, oh, like they are just doing two or like three things and like that's it. So that has me excited. So
yeah,
they at least have that solved, and they have finally have some depth at tight end. We finally have a legitimate bell cow running back. We got that. So it's every and the ultimate X factor of this team, and we have been saying it all off season, is this offensive line. Can this offensive line hold up? Can they play good enough to make our like running game effective enough? So
yeah.
those are all
I yeah,
questions. And like lastly here, it's just, and that is the one thing I am really excited about like preseason, is between this offense line and seeing if like Haskins is any good. Is any
Yeah,
good.
and if the running game gets going, that ease up the pressure on Ben, because last
Absolutely.
year it was just him, and he basically was coming from out from an injury. Um, yeah, and so it was just all on him. There's no running game. Again, predictable offense. Um, and then it just the offense ran its course, and the defense, a superb defense, could only do so much if the offense doesn't do jack squat. Um,
Yeah, if you look on our defense, the only guy we really or two guys that we lost were like Bud and 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 like Mike Hilton. Which to me, for a like Bud, I feel like his play, as good as he was, he really benefited for playing on the opposite side of TJ Watt, which I think Alex Highsmith can be just as good as Bud was, and for a like rookie, he played pretty
yeah,
damn well. So I'm pretty excited to see where he is now. Who's going to replace Hilton is a bigger question mark, because to me he was just such a valued asset for our defense. I mean, he made a big player to every single game, like just create absolute havoc. So that is something they're going to really need to figure out once camp rolls around. But yeah, so I'm thinking that we'll probably see some more signings, or at least a signing be for camp starts in about like 1 month here. And speaking of camp, Matt, did you see that the NFL said like, nope, you guys are not heading over
I yeah,
to Saint Vincent College there.
I did see that. I don't know.
Like, how
It's
does this makes zero sense to me, because somehow the Dallas Cowboys, they get completely approved for their camp over in California, but but somehow the Steelers don't. Now, like, there must be something specific that they are doing that same
I,
Vincent College can't
is
accommodate
I
for, but
wonder if it's because it's in a college.
I
I don't know.
guess.
I don't know. I don't know. But regardless, it, it is what it is. I mean, it's not like they can't not have training camp,
No, so
but
basically,
for local economy and us fans to go,
yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if that anything changes if you can go into the stadium.
yeah, so supposedly they're gonna be having fans for a select number of like practices at like Heinz Field. So at least the Steelers are doing that there. So
Yeah,
they're gonna be
and
basically split in time
there's
between
enough room
there
there.
and the south side, yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much all of the Steelers
Yeah,
news right there. And
and
I'm just checking on Twitter on Twitter now, just to be sure that we don't have
but
anything else here,
yeah,
because literally this all came out in like the last few hours here.
yeah.
So
So basically, we're gonna stick with sports here.
mhm.
Transition into NHL playoffs real quick. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we'll talk or recap WWE Hell in the Cell
Yeah.
too. I forgot to mention that at the top of the show. And so right now we have the two semifinal matchups, and one going on as we speak. That's where I went to go, is turn on the TV for Vegas Golden Knights and Montreal Canadiens, with the Canadians up 3-2 with a chance
Mhm.
to clinch their berth to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I saw today and I laughed hysterically that to finish the season, the let me find it here. The Vegas Golden Knights finished. Oh, are they going to get rid of the records? Yeah, no, with a record of 40, 14 and 2, 80 some points. Montreal finished 24, 21, and 11, like 56 points, and one win away from the finals. So
It just goes to show you, regular season really does. I mean, shit. As long as you are in a
hey,
tournament, man, that's all that really
look at
matters.
Montreal last year when they beat
I know.
us and the
Yeah.
Penguins in the playoffs, and they were the last team basically seeded.
Qualified, yeah.
Yeah, last of whatever 32 out of whatever it was. So and yet now look at them. They've beat the Maple Leafs in 7, 4-3. Okay, then they swept the Jets, and now they're gonna potentially could win 4-2 against one of the favorites, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Just I just Carey Price. You don't playoff Carey Price just different than regular season. Like totally night and day right now. And this team, I don't know. Like they get into the finals. I might have to go with them. They might be my pick depending on who wins. Because they're just overperforming. If they overperform, I don't know if they're even overperforming. I don't know much, but they're just having a really good playoff year, a big deep
Yeah.
run.
It's just it's just one of those teams, man, where just basically everything is going like their way. Honestly, kind of the same thing is happening with the Islanders
Yeah.
too. When you think that they are done, they just end up coming back and they won. They won game 6 last night against the
Yeah, I just turned it
um,
on. I saw overtime. I saw that. I looked on my phone. It was like, oh, it's going to game. It's going to overtime. And by the time I put it on, it was already over. I went, oh boy.
it's I shut it off when it was 2-1 Tampa, but I believe it was in the third period.
I I I I,
I think it
I
was.
didn't even keep tabs on it until right at the end. So yeah, it's interesting. Both four seeds on the left and right side of the bracket are playing like spoiler, so to speak. Is Montreal? I don't think anybody had Montreal going this far. Islanders, I mean, beat the Penguins. That wasn't
You
far
could see
fetched.
them because of their coaching and the style
Yeah, when they were playing
that they
Boston,
play.
Boston was like, oh, Boston's a tough team, but I say that because you expected Tampa Bay to go through. You expected
Yeah,
um, Vegas and or Colorado to go,
Colorado.
and to be fair, you know what? To be fair, the Canadians, that bottom part of that bracket with Toronto, them, Edmonton, and Winnipeg. To me, just looking at it, was that's
Yeah,
a toss up.
yeah.
Everybody, Toronto underperforms. You had Montreal having Carey Price. I would always just put that playoff price. Edmonton
Mm-hmm.
always underperforms, but they have talent and they were doing good. You thought, oh, maybe they should win the Jets, and then Jets come up and freaking sweep them, and
Yeah, it's
then
just
get swept. Yeah,
it's so it, hockey is just so unpredictable. Like even when you think that you know what's going to happen, you really don't,
yeah.
because there's just so many upsets. There's at least 2 or 3 upsets every single year, and everyone's just asking yourselves, how is this team winning? But in hockey, there is so much parity, like in the NFL, to where as long as you are in the freaking tournament, it doesn't really
I
matter
look at the Kings when
what your
they
record
won.
is. Yep, exactly. Hell, like when we won, I want to say,
Oh nine.
yeah, in '09. Like I don't think we were
We were out of the
uh,
playoffs in
right,
February and
right,
made
because
the made a coaching change and went on a hell of a run.
Yeah, right. Because that was when we fired. That's when we fired
Tyrion.
Michelle Tyrion
Yeah.
and hired Bosma.
Yeah. And then you can kind of say the same thing in a way. In 16, we had Mike Johnson
Yep.
brought in Sullivan and just
Sullivan
tore it up. Made
It
made some trades
Mhm.
and before that off-season acquisitions with some trades, different system, and it just worked. Another thing I was saying about unpredictability was it when we faced Boston in 13, 11? I always mix up the year. We were heavy favorites. We went all in on the trade deadline. We got Iginla, Brendan Morrow, who am I missing? Whatever. We went all in on the trade. Like just Shiro just said, "Screw it, we're winning this year," and we faced Boston, and we couldn't score.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, like that team
Get swept.
We were so loaded on that team
You
too.
would
Like
think, yeah.
Sid, Gino, all those guys were in the middle of their freaking prime too.
Iginla, Brendan Morrow.
Again, just I think if we get past if we got past like Boston that series, we probably
who came out of the West? Who plays Boston? Was it the Blackhawks?
Okay, so that was 2012, right?
Either 11, either 11, 12, 13, one of those. Might have been 13.
Oh, it was Boston against against like Vancouver. Against Vancouver.
Were the Sedin twins still playing that year?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were. This was 2011.
Yeah, that's why I think. Okay.
That was 2011.
I forget how Vancouver played or who had on their team, but that would have been a fun series. But yeah, I think it would have. Would have had a shot if we didn't just lay a freaking egg. But the point being is, like you go in expecting to with that team, some teams to play well, some not, and but you never know until there's 3 zeros after the third period on the time there, and you play the games, and sometimes just look at again Capitals playing us in second round for a while there. They couldn't beat us in the second round.
No, and it wasn't until
18.
their Stanley Cup year that they finally beat us.
Yeah,
and
when they did that, I figured, it's going to happen.
Yeah, because to me, we were always their thorn in their side,
and if we
kind of how.
And I think usually if we beat if we beat them in the playoffs, I think there was a history like we would go and win the cup or like something like that.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty much how the Islanders are for us now. Like we just can't get freaking past them now. So yeah, right now it's like 3-2 with the Canadians. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm not sure how you are Vegas and you come back, especially after a devastating loss at home, no less. I feel like that's going to be really hard to overcome. So I'm going to go with like Montreal and versus Tampa in the final.
Yeah,
here.
and then and then you said Tampa, and then now that's Game 7. I believe it would be tomorrow. As of recording, Friday night. So, so as you're watching this, we'll find out who would obviously win. I know you said Tampa, but like I know it's at home in Tampa, so that has the thing. But like the Islanders, man, just you think they're gonna go? They just stingy, but in a good way. Um, why won't this scroll down? I want to see the history. Close game. Can they had 2-1, 4-2, 2-1, 3-2, the 8-0 blowout, 3-2, all pretty much 2-1 goal games, except that game 5 blowout that I'm totally surprised. Um, does momentum come game to game after you blow out the Islanders 8-0 and you lose in an overtime? Does that do anything in Game 7? But you're going back to go back home. Um, I don't know. We'll see. It's one of the Game 7. Throw everything out, all the statistics out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It shit doesn't even matter.
Nope.
So,
But it's
so
interesting.
it's going to be. Yeah. Oh, and one other piece of hockey news: did you see that the Seattle Kraken have a head coach now?
Yeah, is it what's his name? Hextall, whatever his name is.
I'm like Hextall, yeah. Twitter was like, oh, swing and like miss here now. Was he the head coach over
Flyers.
in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. I was like, oh. Yep. I was like, that name sounds really familiar. I was like, oh, yeah. So, I feel like that they could probably have done a little bit better here. Just Hex Dodge, at least as far as the head coach has been concerned, hasn't been exactly good. Now maybe with a fresh start, he'll be a little bit better, but you would have thought that they could have done a little bit better, but we shall see. So
yeah.
So all right, that yeah.
I'm sorry, I took your thunder. I think we'll talk real quick before we get into Hell in a Cell here about the MLB substance pitching sticky whatever role, and it kind of got a bit a blow up when against who was it? Max Scherzer pitching for and Joe Girardi was asking him asked for a third inspection because he said, and I quote here, it's from John Clark, I guess from NBC Sports. There, quote, "I've seen Max pitch a long time. I've never seen Max wipe his head like he did tonight. I was suspicious. I'm trying to win games here. I'm not playing games." Because apparently he took his hat and wiped his hair, sometimes you do when you wear a hat, and Max had some words for Joe, and then Joe came out, and I guess he got ejected and all that fun stuff. Because I think you get the rule now is 2 checks, one in the first and one in the third. I think that's the rule. Mandatory inspections have with the first and third, yeah, for pitchers.
Oh yeah,
and I think catchers.
Did you also see Sergio Ramos from the Oakland Athletic basically took off his freaking pants and everything when they were going to check him? It's just, I mean, where do you stand on this? Because I quite frankly don't know where I stand, because I kind of see like both sides. It's like, and one hand it's cheating, but I feel like that there's a difference between putting low sunscreen on rather than some foreign substance that's actually helping you pitch there. But I don't know,
pine tar or whatever.
Right. And just speaking to friends of mine who did pitch, and hearing former players talk about it too, it's like you have a lot of other opinions, and quite frankly I'm not sure where I stand yet on this. Now while saying that, I don't feel sorry for people for this getting taken away, because it's still a form of them cheating. But at the same time too, I feel like that it wasn't so bad until other players started using other shit like
Yeah,
like whatever those like those like foreign substances are.
yeah.
And man, is everyone killing the commissioner right now, because he probably has one of the like lower approval ratings. I feel like he has passed Gary Bettman now is probably the worst out of all of the like pro leagues there.
That's
So
saying something.
and
Uh,
that's saying something right now. So
I I feel like you should be able to um pitch without AIDS. And I forget was it Glass now who said that if you need help a substance to help you pitch, then you're not as good as you think you are or something like that. And a lot of people I think were crapping on him for that, but I think he's right. Um uh I just I don't know. I mean, the other side of that is, well, if people use steroids, but they've been cracking down on that more so uh, recently. Uh, I don't know. I think it's just everybody's going to find something to try to get a one up. Look at Houston um,
hmm
with the trash can and all that stuff. But that's like a whole like conspiracy operation
hmm
trying to steal signs and know what's coming. Um, yeah, I think it should be stuff like that should be uh done. Now, great pitchers back in the day, were they using something? Uh
sure.
Probably. I don't
But
know.
but I don't think that they were using as like weird
Yeah.
as like foreign of substances. Now maybe they were, but obviously someone was catching up on it to where they to where the league said, you know what, we need to like crack down on this. Um, and we have seen pictures from Tyler Glass out to Garrett Cole, and Tyler more specifically was really up in arms, and actually he blamed them taking away his ability to basically use anything on those on baseballs to him getting hurt, which was, man, did he take a lot of heat for saying that, from from a lot of people here in the city of Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, it's just it's basically it looks bad for him, because basically he's saying he's really pissed off that he can't cheat, but at the same time too, it's like it's hard for those pitchers to get a good
Mm.
comfortable grip too on baseball. So I see both sides of this here, and I don't think I can really choose a stance here, because it's like, well, you you can kind of see both arguments here,
Yeah.
you know.
I think a a check should work, but I think how it's implemented with Girardi asking for another one and just it just doesn't look good for the league. And if pitchers are coming out and just like telling you off and you're just like the most like uh not sarcastic but passive aggressive kind of like tone, it's not a good look. I don't think, and in a way I think another off shoot of this is the CBA negotiations. You figure that's gonna
Oh yeah,
like somebody's
man.
gonna bring that up and like I don't know how much of effect,
Well,
but you know like what
I I think like to Matt, regardless, though those like next set of like negotiations are going to be ugly because right now the whole like landscape is just really not good right now. If you are like Major League Baseball, I'm not sure if it is as bad as hockey is, but man, the last two seasons have been not exactly um have not been exactly friendly terms for both the league
No,
and its players association. So we'll all see how the season goes and how this is going to affect whether
my,
how many like how many no hitters are going to be happening
the only
or
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I if CBA, my dream coming out of that, which I know will
Mm,
never happen. Hey, Montreal scored. Uh, Power play. Is a salary cap or salary floor something,
yeah,
because mainly look at the Pirates. If you don't,
I
or
know.
any team, if you don't, you can get lucky once in a while. But if you don't spend
Yeah.
anything, and you have all these, or a ceiling, if you have these teams, big market teams, the
Mhm.
Dodgers, the Yankees, they can spend all this dough to get the best players. Does it always equate to wins? No, but
Yeah.
you get the, that's besides the point in this thing. You get the best
Mhm.
players. Oh, he broke the camera. That's funny. Um, and it just, it's not even across the board. Look at now look at if you look at hockey, you put in a salary cap. You look at the NFL. You
Mhm.
have, yes, you got teams that maybe uh, don't do as well regularly, but the opportunity is there for everybody to start out and sign and trade, and you can develop teams, and there's much more parity in those leagues. We talked about the NHL, um, than, well, the MLB right now. Like when NHL didn't have a cap, the Penguins were what, almost bankrupt, had to move how
They
many
were
times?
they were essentially ready to be off to Kansas City.
They
Like yeah,
and even before
like
that, before, yeah, that was the 2000s. But even before that, how many times throughout the year, their history, look,
well
they
if
shipped Yager for peanuts because they couldn't afford them.
yeah, well, and if you just like if
Not
you
peanuts, but
watched the like history documentary on the team, like they should have been sold at least two or three times, but they somehow survived. So
yeah.
um
And
uh,
look where they are,
I
salary
per
cap.
yeah, I personally don't see that ever happening, but
No,
never say never. So
yeah,
we'll see.
it'd be
But
nice, but anyways.
all right, time to get into some professional wrestling talk, and um, very interested to see what you think now. And I'm just going to get right into the ending of the show, Matt.
Oh, I came
Has your
around.
stance
Yes.
has your
Ha-
has your stance changed?
half of it was just to see what you would say,
Mhm.
but be honest, the finish being Bobby Lashley retaining against Drew. Um, honestly, when I watched it, honest to God, I didn't I didn't realize it right away, because I don't know, like I was blinded by what happened because I was happy that Lashley won. Like I was obscured by that, and it wasn't until like I was done, like with the text message and half messing around, half being serious, that I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. Because I was like,
I was
because
like,
usually that would
he can't be serious right now,
no,
right?
because usually
I
what
was like,
happens is that after I sit and anything that happens, you sit and process it for a bit, and you go, oh, yeah, okay, uh, yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, I would much rather of, if you were if everything was the same, um, have, if they were going to go that route, have him pass out again to the full Nelson. Oh, it's tied now.
Right.
And instead of
It's just like give him a clean win. Like it's just like I don't understand how that finish helps anyone because then it doesn't really help Lashley's title reign. It doesn't really help like Drew because he's getting distracted again by MVP. It's just like freaking clean finishes inside Hell in a freaking Cell, which just kills that freaking match even further now. It just boggles my mind. But as bad as like that was, to me, Matt, Rhea and Charlotte getting DQ because they were setting up a table.
That's what
Oh my God.
I
What the
missed it.
fuck was that?
I looked away. I was doing something else, actually cleaning my clubs, and I remember the bell rang. It was DQ, and I'm thinking I didn't see the actual table. It's like, okay, something. Okay, it's not boo the cube. I was like, okay, they used the weapon. No, what was it? It was they used.
They were setting up a table apparently.
I thought they hit the
I
announce
just
table or used the announce table.
or yeah,
Or
or they use it. I'm like, how many times have they used a freaking announce table in a standard match and they never called it?
Don't tell Randy Orton that.
It's
I don't know.
Christ.
I'm telling
I
you.
mean, how many times have they sent like freaking Lana through a table?
I
They
think
never
that was.
called a DQ.
I think it was usually. But well, my thing is here.
Was it usually?
It was
post-match
post.
there?
I think it was usually post.
Okay,
But regardless,
okay.
they probably did it anyways. But like then at the same time, and I brought this point up, I think before in the past, either on the show or just in general. If they're gonna call DQ on that to fit the narrative, then nobody should ever use still steps or throw somebody into the still steps again. That's a weapon. You use it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go that route, I brought that up.
I know. Well, how like between that or like when they expose a like turnbuckle to in the ring, like are we going to call like DQs there?
Usually, okay. If they do it, okay. Sometimes the ref catches them taking the covering off. Okay, and if the ref doesn't see it and it happens, but the ref, you can get away with that if the ref like obviously is not looking in the direction when it happens. So to me, that's a less egregious thing than I'm gonna use the announce tape or a periphery of the announce table or whatever happened because I didn't see it, and call DQ. That's just
Right.
like it's just like if it was if that was consistent across the board, it always happens. Okay, it's not as bad. But then when it like randomly happens, like wait, why? And then it's you're not consistent enough that it's just like obviously forced. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just and that was pretty much a theme of the show.
It's
tonight,
the whole
because
it was all the
because
all the raw
yeah,
matches. All the raw
and
matches.
to me, like if you looked at like Rollins and Cesaro and like Bianca and Bailey, excellent matches. I wasn't even mad about the like roll up finish with like Seth and Cesaro because they had such a really good match. And to me,
it was a heel and it's
to me,
one piece.
right. So I was fine with that. I was completely bored out of my freaking mind with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
I was not.
You like that, but I was falling asleep watching it.
No,
okay,
that one I did because to me it was a good match.
Yeah, and obviously, Matt, the opener of the show between Bianca and Bailey was excellent match of the freaking night. Those two girls tore it down. I have no complaints about that. But everything else on the show can kiss my ass. And man,
it's all the raw stuff.
Shayna,
oh yeah, we get to it's all the raw stuff. It was all the raw stuff.
it was all of the Raw stuff there because even though I was like, even though I wasn't completely feeling Sammy and Kevin, it didn't insult my intelligence there
No,
because at least they had a story there, and obviously Kevin is going to be he's going to be going
yeah.
away.
Sammy
Looks like
winning
he
was a good, nice surprise. He got a
right
bigger
right.
win, so that was good.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, he's taking a break.
but
Storyline and probably I don't storyline and real I don't know,
right right.
whatever. But so Sammy gets a good win. I thought it was a good match. I won't
Hmm.
say won't say excellent, but to me, those two, to me the same with Cesaro and Seth in context here. Always put on to me always an entertaining match. I know it's not going to be a stinker. Um, so that's why I didn't dislike it as much as you did. But
Yeah.
basically, SmackDown stuff, A, Raw stuff, C at best.
Mhm.
And it just, I don't know how there's such a big freaking difference between not even the shows, just the matches on this card. You can be
Well,
for like, I don't know. Sure, to
have
me,
you have
Charlotte
you
and Rhea
heard?
was fine until the end.
Yeah. Did you hear about the writer who was on a podcast where she said that when she was hired that they told her that she didn't have to
Oh,
know anything about wrestling?
if I was
I'm
them right
like,
now, I would say face and fire her for saying stuff like that. That's what I would say face. If I was them, I would fire
and I
her
was
right now.
like,
But
I was
still,
like, I guarantee you, she's probably. I was like, I guarantee you that she's probably a like raw writer. Like
probably,
it's just, oh man,
or if it's the
like
same, if
this
it's the
just
same, I don't know.
explain
Sticker
like
on writing
it
main
like
event. There's no writing there. That's why I would
it's
sticker to main
right.
event.
It's this is why I've never understood why you don't have wrestling people writing wrestling shows. This isn't say like a comedy or a sitcom or
Whatever.
just a series or on like Disney or like Netflix. Like they're
Almost a
while
good
they
segue
have
there.
similarities, but they're two completely different things.
I
Like I just
whatever
oh god,
whatever Triple H is doing in NXT. I know it's only 2 hours and one show a week. That's what it's got to be
it's
more like
surprisingly better.
on a
Yeah,
consistent week to
and
week
and
basis.
now right, and now we are seeing it now because to me, Matt, NXT is stepping it up now, really stepping it up because you're starting to see them building more of a foundation for doing other things because
The
I like
stars are
pretty much
aligned.
everything that
They
right.
the right pieces are back in place. And I say this all
Right.
the time. I've said this before that there's always ebbs and flows with the brand, with like the women's division or tag team division, main event scene. Because how many times like we early on the tag team division when they first got it on the network, solid division.
Right.
And then
Hmm.
people leave, and then it's like, yeah, and then they fill somebody up, bring people in, or they develop more and they
Hmm.
create new teams, and it goes back and forth. The women's division, once Bailey, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte came up,
Charlotte.
little lull, and then you bring other people in. You brought your Shayna Baszler's at the time, the Nia Jax, the Alexa Blisses, um, whoever, and they go, and there's a law. And now the division, they just signed out of the wazoo, and that division is loaded. Even if people leave, it's still
Yeah.
good. Main event scene, people come, and now I think we get more of that renaissance. They have a decent tag division, just different storylines going within there. It's better than what it was,
Oh,
you could say, a
and
year
to me,
ago. Go ahead.
Well, to me, adding a like Diamond Mine adds you another tag team there.
Another
So you're probably at like what, four or five,
another
four or
tag
five
team,
or six tag teams now.
a stable, another tag team in a single title chaser, presumably.
Mhm.
Um, that's going to be oh my god.
Or Kushida. Yep.
No, no, no,
Yep.
no.
Or
Against
Kushida.
against who's the
Roger Strong.
yeah, Roger Strong. Oh my.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Well, I'm talking about just in that the Diamond Mine group. Roderick Strong, that
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
star.
Oh yeah.
You have that Tyler.
Mhm.
I forget his name. Uh, Bait.
Tyler
No,
Rust.
Yeah, Rust. And the other guy. I
Tyler
forget,
Rust.
yeah, Tyler Rust. Yeah, Bates in the UK.
Hideki Suzuki, I believe.
Yeah,
Was
the
his name.
funny that the announcers didn't say his name. It was like, oh, it's Roderick Strong, and that's Tyler Rust, and the other there's the other guy. I don't
Yeah,
think they knew.
yeah.
But
Supposedly from everything that I've heard about that guy, he's freaking good, like really, really good. And supposedly they thought, or when you hear from guys such as Sean Ross, they thought that they were just going to be bringing him in as a like coach or something, but he's going to be part of that group. And I'm finally glad that they finally give Malcolm Bivens something to sink his teeth into, because he is going to be so great in this faction. It's going to be similar to what like Tully is with the Pinnacle, to where he's there to just put over everyone and just to basically raise their stock.
yeah,
I'm really excited.
I'm going to be interested. I think this is the best thing for Rust, because they tried
absolutely.
it. He had something. I wasn't really working. Bivens, he didn't find the right thing, but now I don't see how this doesn't at least totally like work right off the get go. At least some momentum there. You got Roderick Strong. You got your established. See, it works. You have your established star. He's somewhat veteran of Bivens as the manager. He's been around. Russ is new. And then the other guy apparently has some history that, like you said, is should be supposedly he's very good. So, and they make a statement, because I'm thinking I'm watching the show, and I try to stay off the spoilers, because I couldn't watch it live, and it's like, okay, Diamond Mine's debuting tonight, whatever this is, and it's okay, it's the main event. Something's happening at the end here, and you already said about the finish.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, something's happening, and I was watching when Cole attacked
and the fact
O'Reilly.
that
It's like, that's not it.
yeah. I was like, well, the fact that Kyle is there is like, I think we're seeing a faction done by like Roddy in some way. And sure enough, that is like what happened there. But man, just outside of that, man, you have the stuff with Samoa Joe being involved, whether it's with Karrion Kross or Pete Dunne or Adam Cole
Or
Hell,
Johnny
even
Gargano.
the opener here with. Right. It's just there are so many good things, cool things happening right now on NXT, to where that really wasn't happening a like month or two ago. And now I think they're finally starting to feel their stride now. And but the thing I'm concerned about now is, did you see Karrion Cross's entrance on like main
No,
event?
I heard the bar talking about that. I didn't see it, but he said, "Don't worry about it, because it's main event."
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I know he's more optimistic, but just judging on NXT's track record when guys and girls do get called up, I would be concerned, because this thing, he didn't have Scarlett with him, and pretty much all of that uniqueness with the smoke and everything, that was all gone. And I feel like that's probably what we're going to see when he eventually gets called up there, and I'm pretty concerned about that. And it also sounds like too that like Vince wants to wants to have like Bronson Reed up too. So we could be seeing a lot of changes in NXT with in the next few months here.
I guess
Once they are, yeah,
I don't see. I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe they're
ahead there,
trying out, showing it out before. I would assume the draft happens. I assume that's when it's going to happen. He gets
yeah. So
officially called up.
so actually, yes. So actually, Andrew Zarian reported that I think it's like the end of August into the first
After
week
yeah,
of September. So
after some
basically,
after SummerSlam.
around
Yeah,
or yeah, so basically around like Labor Day weekend there. So that's when that's going to exactly happen. Yeah, you would think that's probably when they're gonna see some call ups there. And them getting back onto touring. So yeah, so yeah, we'll see kind of how NXT looks after that. But and some other wrestling news too. AEW is coming back to Pittsburgh, Matt, and we are officially are going to both Dynamite and to AEW Dynamite and um the first ever Rampage show, which I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked that we are getting that there, but
that's only an hour
I have a
show, right?
feeling, yeah.
I'm
But
surprised they
the
didn't
show's
do it all in one record that instead of
well,
making it.
the actual show begins at like 8 because they are like filming. They're going to be filming like 2 hours of like of like elevation and then
Oh
go
joy!
onto like Rampage at like 10 o'clock. So it's basically a like 3 hour show for us there. Not for
Right.
the actual viewers there. So so I was pretty shocked about that. But then after I thought about it, I was like, well, Britt Baker, she is champion now. They probably figured, hey, she can probably really help out selling out this thing. And if I recall for our last show there, they were pretty close to a sell. I would say it was like around 6 or 7,000 ish. You would say there. Um, so we'll see how they do. But man, I tell you, Matt, we got a great deal. Getting those like freaking tickets there. Like it's needless to say, it was money money like well spent there. So I'm pretty excited for that there. And just one other piece of from news. Did you see of the qualifiers yet for the for like Money in the Bank who qualified
Yeah, I
so far?
saw. Yeah, I saw. I'm one thing that I like is that it, from what I remember, especially on the men's side, that it's new people and
Mhm.
not like already like established. Like, oh, okay. Like if Drew
Mhm.
made it, it's like, oh, okay.
Right.
But it's
Mm,
new, so it's somewhat more kind of. I don't remember all of it. More unpredictable. But so that was a nice thing um, that they did. I thought that was a good choice.
yeah. Yeah. And they also announced for like next week that it's a like last chance qualifier, which I believe is between like Drew, Orton, and AJ. I believe
Oh, there goes
so
Drew. Oh, well, there we go.
so
You just ruined my
so
whole vibe.
yeah. So I believe I'm gonna say that they probably have like
It's
Drew qualify for that there. But like who knows? So yeah, that was pretty much all of the
I
wrestling.
hope it's Orton because Riddle's in it.
Right. So
Oh,
yeah, that
please
was
make it Orton. Please make it Orton. Don't do the Drew.
don't do the Drew.
Don't do
All
the
right.
Drew.
All right. So the last piece of things that we have on for this week's show, Matt, is episode 3 of Loki. thoughts?
The definition of sexual tension right there in that episode.
Yeah.
I felt it. I was like, oh, Loki's gonna do it with himself.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If that happens, it'll feel really weird.
Anyways, it's not gonna happen. But
It would be
it's like
weird.
it's like the start. Like if you ever watch a movie and there's that tension, you're like, yeah, it's gonna happen. You know it. They're gonna like each other by the end. Um, I thought an interesting episode on seeing just the different sides of Loki himself,
Mm-hmm.
show more compassionate, talking about love and all that stuff.
Level-headed,
Yeah,
yeah, like level-headed, not like a more serious. Because like before the show, like he was always a sarcastic asshole who really never took anything serious. Was always a like trickster. As he
the
always
trickster
went
god.
by, but
I think. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so like they're going through this, like they get transferred to this other time and planet where it's like one of the worst uh, up, apocalypses ever. Like supposedly
The planet
the
crashing into the moon, and the moon.
right,
Some
right,
one of the.
right. So yeah, so there's that happening, and then like we come to find out later, from the like female Loki, that when she went into the to the girl's mind of TVA, that every single person in that organization was a like, variant, which basically means that everything that they were told was a complete and utter lie. That
Yeah,
because if you recall from episode one, they said, "Oh, it was we were created by the timekeepers," and or something like that. And now it's like, oh no, it's nothing like that. So now
There
this
actually,
is
yeah, that's interesting. That was
yeah,
interesting. They kind of like threw that
yeah.
in lightly. It
I
was
was
just
like,
like, oh, okay, wait, what?
oh, yeah. So this is going to be very interesting how it's going to play out, because now I feel like they're going to slowly start to build where they're going to gather all of like low keys wherever that they are, going to try to overtake the timekeepers, or yeah, to try and do that. So very interested to see how that's going to go out there.
And I'm
But
interested to
other yeah,
see
yeah, go ahead.
how, since they were trying to get the power from that ship, and the ship got destroyed by the meteors, the pieces broken off on the planet. How they're gonna get off? Because obviously they're not gonna die. Um, that'd be the worst, obviously the worst thing. So I'm gonna assume we're gonna see. I would. We're at the end. Morbius come and they find him, come through that
Mhm.
time door, and take
Yeah.
him back. Uh, that's what I think would happen, but you never know. Uh, so I'm gonna see how. I'm curious how that's gonna happen, and just all the different, because the timeline branches are going off right now because chaos.
Hmm.
They really didn't touch that per se, but I feel like that's gonna come up soon. And
Yeah.
this was a nice detour. Uh, See how both are working together.
Right.
Um,
And I feel like that this episode was just kind of just building up their like up their like relationship here. So
yeah, the good thing with these episodes or episodic shows is that people almost don't realize it's nice to flash out the stories
yeah.
and the stuff, instead of, oh, you got to cut stuff out in movies, and even though it's 2 hours, it kind of feels rushed. Like you can tell, like stuff happens, like, oh, I wish I could have solved that.
Yeah.
uh but like you're fleshing out these characters more, especially Loki. You've fleshed out, fleshing all the characters like Falcon and the Winter
Hmm.
Soldier. Even people like, oh, it wasn't as good, but like you got these backstories more on these characters, and
Hmm.
just how stuff happens, that at least for me, I appreciate again the good storytelling. Like to me, not every episode has to be a totally fight action packed thing.
No, like you gotta let the shit
Breathe.
but yeah, breathing and all. So I'm fine with that. It's just it'll be very interesting to see how this eventually ends. So
Yep.
yeah, like there wasn't really much else to really talk
No,
about outside of that there.
yeah,
So
the interaction
I feel like
between the Lokis and
mhm, right.
that and the and showing that the
Timekeepers and
timekeepers and not
variants.
the
Yeah.
variants and all that. So that's interesting how that plays out. Yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, Matt, if you got nothing else to add, I think this is a good place for
No.
us
Yeah.
to stop here.
Yeah. So again, thanks everybody for watching. This was episode 91. Every episode drops Saturdays at 3 p.m. here on the channel. Always like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Much appreciated. So yeah, next week we'll probably get into Loki episode 4, the start of the Stanley Cup Finals, I would presume, by the time we record next week, probably on a
I would hope
Thursday.
so.
Yeah, and whatever other news we find interesting that's out there. So for John, I'm Matt. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week.